Little bit drizzling now. Little bit drizzling now. Glasgow Queen Street railway station.
I'll come back to that in a moment as we're about to get a first view of back to Hollywood for a quick moment. As mentioned, Glasgow becomes a city with a community and this venue is a very modern city, one of the first to be built according to a complete street layout with many wide streets with a very tall architecture. This influenced other cities worldwide but also rapidly developing, notably North America. Similarly, cities expanding the local industry and infrastructure and architecture, keeping up with the similarity, expanded these many cities. Really exciting to be in Ireland. Fortunately, it's just been a good marketing opportunity. It is the famous tagline, Iron Road in Scotland for burgers. So Iron Road, not actually burgers, just getting significant levels of iron in the 1760s. Was probably the most powerful person in Scotland as the head of Glasgow is the sorry folks, you need to take a seat please with a motion. Excuse me, could you sit down please? Hi, sit down please, we're moving. The Kensington House on the left hand side there. An unusual building. It's up to be well through. It's to celebrate Glasgow hosts the 2014 Commonwealth Games. So don't know, Glasgow's hosting the next Commonwealth Games as well in the rest of the year's time. We'll actually see a couple of venues used for the Commonwealth Games very shortly. Although next up is stop number 10. Serving the garden of excursion summer holiday for Glaswegians up until the 1960s or so when we started to see the advent of cheaper flights and package holidays. With a concert by Rod Stewart and the following year held a number of events at the Commonwealth Games, including the gymnastics, the building immediately in front of us here, which is for the weightlifting events, and there are a couple of others back then, known as the Clyde Auditorium. A couple of other things to say about that. In a moment though, yeah, we've got a couple of folk joining us back with the old box, albeit upside down ones. A lot of people who visit Glasgow feel it actually looks a bit like the Sydney Opera House. I do see that comparison. Here in Glasgow though, we came up with our own nickname for it. Come to Glasgow for events, ask the locals for the directions to this auditorium, and the typical response they get would be, so that's the river. Pointing up into the sky there, we'll see the Glasgow Tower, which is the tallest building in Glasgow. They both opened in the early 2000s. Next to the Glasgow Tower, there's a clock tower. That's called pumping station. That's the powered equipment. Here and about the old Queen's Docks. The newer section has been quite cleverly designed, so we'll be able to see the beautiful whiskey stills there. It's in the shape of a coloration through the window down there to the left-hand side. Left of that is the tall ship, the Glenlee. The flags flying there. And then to the left, wide in terms of tonnage. Let's look at another view of the Barracks Cabin, as well as the Mitchell Library on the left-hand side. That's one of the largest reference libraries in Europe, well known in particular for its genealogy and research of family trees and so on. Out here, this was largely open countryside, and there's lots of buildings here historically have been associated with the university. So in front of us we have the modern gym complex, but joining onto that is a much older Glasgow University Union building, which is GUU. There's one of two student unions at the University of Glasgow, along with it. Pierce Lodge, as it's known here on the left, was actually part of the High Street campus, taken apart stone by stone and rebuilt here at the university roof. Of course, the building that really draws the eye here is up there to the left, the main building of the University of Glasgow, also known as the Gilbert Scott Building after its architect, Sir George Gilbert Scott. It's the largest neo-Gothic building in the UK, outward of London, and it's now the second tallest building in Glasgow. The Glasgow Tower in the early 2000s, which is split existing to this building on the right-hand side. It was the first African-American building in the old college in the 1820s. Next to this building is one named after John Boyd Orr. It was 1949 recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize in Glasgow. Of course, the most people problem associated with the University of Glasgow the River Kelvin came across. We're not 100% sure where it's from. It might have been a more than branch. But it makes it seem that Glasgow and then later on,
this is Glasgow Central train station. We are ready to leave to Glasgow, go to London.
London.